Let's jump right in. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking those notoriously complex change management theories and transforming them into your ultimate exam prep guide. So whether you're cramming for your HR certification or honestly just want to get a grip on how organizations actually evolve, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to grab the most crucial concepts from our source texts and turn them into crystal clear visual takeaways. Sound good? Let's get started.
Okay, here's our roadmap for today. We'll hit the basics of change, Lewin's three-stage model, the J-curve of change, HR's specific role in all this, the drivers and Cotter's model, and finally wrap up with 10 key exam takeaways.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the basics of change, and defining the shift. So to really understand this shift, we've got to establish what change management actually means in the HR world. And the absolute most crucial point here, change is not an accident. It is a highly planned organizational development process, and it's driven by behavioral science. It's not just swapping out the break room coffee machine or doing a quick software update. For your exam, you need to remember that this is deliberate. It's about anticipating exactly how human beings are going to react and using science to actually improve how the entire organization functions. But hey, before we dive into the heavy theories, we really have to ask ourselves what actually forces a business out of its comfort zone in the first place. I mean, organizations rarely embrace massive disruption just for the fun of it, right? There are always specific, tangible drivers pushing them. And this table lays out exactly what those primary drivers are. You've got process improvements, which could mean ramping up quality or just cutting down the time it takes to get a product to market. Then there's cost reductions. That's all about immediate financial benefits, like lowering inventory or renegotiating with your suppliers. And of course, organizational expansion. When a company grows, it fundamentally requires HR to step up and help restructure. So whether they're slashing costs or scaling up operations, change is literally a survival imperative in today's economy.
Moving right along to Section 2. This is Lewin's three-stage model, unfreeze, move, refreeze. Okay, social psychologist Kurt Lewin gives us the bedrock theory here. You will absolutely want to jot these 3 sequential steps down in your notes. Step 1 is unfreeze. This is all about getting people to actually accept the changes coming by reducing the factors that are working against it. Step 2 is move. This is the action phase, right, where you actually alter the behavior. And then finally, step 3 is refreeze, which means reinforcing that change once it's completely implemented.
And this visual brilliantly illustrates the whole before and after of Lewin's model. Just look at the current state versus the new state. A massive thing they'll test you on is understanding that you haven't truly succeeded until the new way is totally 100% normalized. If your people just revert back to their old habits the second HR turns its back, well then your refreezing phase completely failed. Which brings us to Section 3, the J-curve of change, navigating the human element. Now, Lewin gives us those nice, broad, structural stages, but author Gerald Jellison, he gives us the raw, human emotional reality of change. Just notice the literal shape of this curve. Performance actually drops before it improves. Guys, this is a massive exam takeaway. Whenever change is introduced, fear, doubt, and uncertainty just naturally take hold. And the greater the gap between the old way and the new way, the deeper that initial drop in performance is going to be. When we map out Jellison's stages, we really see the employee's journey. You start up high at the plateau, which is the comfortable, easy status quo. But then comes the cliff, where resistance is fierce and performance basically takes a nosedive. Eventually, though, you hit the valley. This is where a little bit of cautious optimism starts to peek through because the successes are finally outnumbering the failures. From there, it's the ascent, where skills sharpen and confidence rises, leading you all the way to the mountaintop. That's where performance surges way beyond past highs and completely new, creative solutions are born. Okay, so how do we actually stop that scary freefall and move our people from being resistors to doers? Well, HR uses what Jellison calls activation. This is exactly how you turn that terrifying deep J-curve into a quick, positive checkmark. You break the change down into tiny, manageable steps. You front-load the reward so people feel a sense of success super early on. You make it psychologically safe for them to make mistakes while they're learning. And you offer really robust guidance and training.
All right, Section 4, HR's role in change, guiding the transformation.
This brings us to a really critical pivot point in our explainer. Where does HR actually fit into this chaotic, emotional roller coaster? Because, it's one thing to memorize the theories of Lewin and Jellison,
But how do you actually turn the tide in the real world and pull the struggling workforce out of that valley of despair?
Basically, HR acts as the guiding mentor through the whole process. First and foremost, you've got to be proactive. Getting a seat at the strategic planning table early on is absolutely vital. You must involve employees to build their commitment instead of just dictating orders from the top down. You have to over-communicate, constantly educating your staff on why the change is necessary. Plus, you need to expect resistance because it's going to happen, and manage it by reinforcing those new behaviors with incentives and leveraging positive peer influence. And crucially, HR has to make sure top management stays visibly supportive, maybe reminding the execs that frontline employees haven't had nearly as much time to process these changes as they have.
Let's look at Section 5, Drivers and Cotter's Model, and Implementing the Vision. So while Lewin focuses heavily on the psychological stages, John Cotter comes in and provides the direct management techniques to actually execute the change. Honestly, this model is practically a checklist for your exam. Step 1, create a massive sense of urgency. People need to know exactly why we have to change right now. Then you assemble a strong guiding team. You provide a crystal clear vision, you over-communicate that vision, you empower your employees to take action, and finally, you ensure short-term successes. And hey, notice how Cotter's focus on short-term successes perfectly mirrors Jellison's advice to front-load rewards. It is all about building that early momentum. And that brings us to Section 6, 10 Key Exam Takeaways, the final review. All right, get ready to screenshot this, because we are distilling everything down to the absolute bare essentials. Number 1, change is a proactive behavioral science, not a random accident. 2, know your primary drivers, which are costs, processes, and expansion. 3, 4, and 5, that's Lewin's unfreeze, move, refreeze methodology. Just remember, unfreezing tears down the barriers, and refreezing makes the new ways stick. 6 and 7, the J-curve proves that performance absolutely will drop before you hit that valley of cautious optimism. 8, use activation strategies to pull your people up that curve. 9, HR is the ultimate communicator and resistance manager. And 10, Cotter is your blueprint for urgency and those vital short-term wins. These 10 facts interlock beautifully to help you ace your test. To wrap things up, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative thought to ponder as you're reviewing your notes tonight. As the pace of business accelerates literally every single day, and massive disruption just becomes the standard norm, is it ever actually possible for an organization to truly refreeze? Or is the only constant we can actually rely on the change itself? Best of luck on your exam prep, keep studying hard, and I really hope this explainer helps you master the mechanics of change.